Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid. But today is the 2nd of January 2025 and these are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with of course terrorism, because terrorism is something that has engulfed two major provinces of Pakistan, especially Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, as per the latest reports, as per the latest statistics, all point out towards an increase in fatalities, an increase in terrorist incidents, and all that is coming from across the border from our western front. Why is that happening? Why is the Afghan interim government not doing the needful? What is at play? And what should we expect in 2025 is all that we'll be discussing in our first segment. Our second story concerns the Middle East situation, in particular reference to Palestine and Gaza. 45,000 plus people have been martyred as we speak. 10,000 plus are under the rubble and more than 108,000 have been injured so far. The fact is also that the Israeli brutalities are reaching new heights with the form of aggression that they are putting the Palestinians through, even in the refugee camps, in the hospitals and elsewhere. This is going to be our second segment. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns terrorism, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, what has been happening since the past few months and what needs to be done in order to thwart this, to end this once and for all of the nefarious designs of the terrorist outfits that are emanating from across the border. We've been joined by three guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we have two important guests. Major General Zahid Mahmood Saab, Defense Analyst, joins us in the studio. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us.
Thank you.
Then a very, very dear guest of ours, Khalid Taimur, Akram Saab, international relations expert. We've highlighted many an important event with him as well. Thank you very much, Khalid Saab, to have joined us. And online we'll be joined by Zahir Shah Sherazi, who is a senior analyst. Zahir Saab, Zahir Saab is there. Zahir Saab, welcome to our show. Let's begin with you, General Saab. General Saab, 279.8% increase in the number of terrorist incidents from 2021 to 2024. Casualty figures shoot up 231%. On an average, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which we are going to discuss in detail, has lost 2 men per day, including personnel from the security forces, from the law enforcement and ordinary citizens. In the first 10 months of the year, as per the Interior Ministry, 948 out of the almost 1,600 terrorism incidents reported occurred in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, resulted in 593 deaths. 341 terrorists were killed in 2,801 IBOs, intelligence-based operations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa within the first 10 months. Why this significant increase? What has led to it?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Omar, thank you very much once again for the invite. The surge in these terrorism activities, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, this has happened because of the Afghanistan situation. I mean, we were expecting that this interim government in Afghanistan, they will stand by with their pledges which they have made in Doha Accord, that they will not allow Afghan soil to be used for any terrorist act against Americans, their allies, or any other friendly country or any other country. But unfortunately, that interim government, we thought that they must have learned from the past experiences, and now we'll be seeing some change, and this will be a government for the people of Afghanistan. This will be a government which will bring peace to the region, which will bring peace for the neighbors also. And of course, they'll be thankful to Pakistan, because without Pakistan, many times you will see Afghan Talibans and all boasting about their victories against Russia, victories against United States, victories against all the Britishers even in the past, you know. But one must tell them, and one must see that were they were able to achieve these victories without the support of Pakistan? Was there any contribution by Pakistan? So without Pakistan, they could not even think of winning a battle, what to talk of a war. So we were expecting that normally we always hear that about the Pakhtunwali and the supreme things which are there in the Pakhtunwali. But there is something about the neighbors, there is something about the friends, there is something about the people who have sacrificed. So they forget about that part of the Pakhtunwali, and then they talk of the Pakhtunwali which support the TTP, the collaboration with the TTP, taking care of the friends. But we were expecting that they must have remembered us in a good terms, they will be contributing positively towards us. But unfortunately, they have fallen victim and they've become part of the proxy war which is waged against Pakistan by India, and the state-sponsored terrorism which is coming from India, and they're using the Afghan soil. So this surge is primarily after that change in the regime, and unfortunately United States also, they left Afghanistan disarrayed, totally disorganized, chaotic Afghanistan, and there was the end of the war, but there was no establishment of the peace, which was the biggest. And because of these environments, probably there is a surge in terrorism in Pakistan, and then lot of as I have hinted at, the proxy war which we are facing through India. So a lot of economics coming into and then there
to
are
further boost such activities.
Yes, and then the Pakistani measures which Pakistan has taken, especially by sealing the borders, addressing the illegal spectrum of the and smuggling and human trafficking, and lot of stuff which was attached with the economics attached with these activities. So that is also creating, this is pinching them.
All right.
So
that is the reaction from that.
So there are multiple things which has happened, and that's why there is a surge in the terrorist activities.
All right. Khalid, Taimur, Akram Saab, 670 incidents in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, DI Khan witnessing the highest number at 121, followed by Bannu at 118, Khyber district at 80, highest number of militant fatalities at 80, followed by in DI Khan, Bannu 41, Khyber district 29. These figures not only highlight the challenges that are faced by the KP government, but also put an increased responsibility on them as well. Two Waziristans, Tank, Lucky Marwat, Kadak, still under the influence. Kurram and Tira Valley, resurgence of militants bringing renewed threats to Peshawar. What kind of action, in your point of view, is needed this year in order to end this once and for all?
Yeah, first of all, as we know that Pakistan had a national action plan which was given after the APS attack, and we have been seeing in last couple of years very successful intelligence-based operation on basis of the national action plan. But unfortunately, since last couple of months, there is a disconnect between the KP government and the federal government. The first line of defense is the police force, whether it's the counter-terrorism operations, whether operation against any kinds of criminals. But because of this disconnect between, and I would say more of a disconnect from the KP side, that the surge is occurring in KP province. There is a blame game from KP side towards the federal government, but the KP government must realize this thing, that their police force, their counter-terrorism departments are the first line of defense. And till that time, the first line of defense does not do its work properly, the federal government, the paramilitary forces would come later on, and then at the last, the military would come in. Although Pakistan Army had been conducting a lot of intelligence-based operations, but the most important is the police station level intelligence, because the police station in SHO and the policemen at a police station, they are always in touch with the local people. So if there is a disconnect between these two segments of the government, then these things will continue. So I hope then that in year 2025, we will have more cohesion, we will have more cooperation between the provincial government and the federal government. And the provincial government must realize this thing, that the terrorism issue is beyond any political or any kind of ethnic issues, because sometimes we see in last couple of months we have seen jirgas in KP, people are trying to twist the situation towards ethnic values. Sometimes they try to put political pressure and use the terrorism for the political purposes also. So we need to get above this, and this is the time that the political parties must sit together and decide that fight against terrorism is for the country and is for the nation, and because of this terrorism, the complete Pakistan is affected. It is not the war of one province, it is not the war of military, this war has to be fought by the nation, and the nation has to be united. And until the time we do not give out this a message of being a message of unity, the terrorists will keep on playing havoc with us.
All right. Zahir, Sherazi, Islamabad has conveyed time and again to the Afghan interim government that it must control and rein in the fitna al-Khawarij or the TTP. It has also urged the Afghan Taliban to recover the sophisticated American weaponry from the fitna, discourage them from crossing the border and arrest those who do not, because they complain that the Afghan interim government allows for cross-border movement and no punitive action is taken against those who do it. How should these issues now be addressed with the Afghan interim government in a way that could lead to concrete results?
Well, thank you, Omar, and I would just continue what our other panelists were discussing. Perhaps importantly, the miscalculation on part of the Pakistani policymakers that a friendly Afghan Taliban government in Kabul would be securing our western borders, but that didn't happen. But now the recent visit by Mohammad Sadiq, our former ambassador and special envoy in Afghanistan, I think specifically it has been conveyed that the Afghan Taliban or the Kabul government has to rein in the TTP, the ISK and all those terrorist groups which are threatening security inside Pakistan. And there are some positive signs. I think what my sources are saying that I've spoken to a couple of Afghan Taliban leadership and they have admitted that they have assured Pakistan to stop such kind of infiltrations. And the first thing is that perhaps they have sought more time from Islamabad that action need to be taken against the TTP, or perhaps they are likely to take it or not. The second thing, there is also a possibility that these militants and especially the fitna al-Khawarij or the TTP people, the Kabul government is unwilling to take action against them because of the code of Pukhtunwali, as earlier the Major General was saying. And the second thing is perhaps they consider them their half-brothers who had fought a jihad, what they say against the Russians and all the coalition troops which had invaded Afghanistan. So this is another factor which is perhaps stopping them. And then I think they are the same, different faces of the same coin. We cannot say that one militant group is different from the other. So these are different things which are likely to be, assured to Pakistan. But there are two very important issues. One is the Kabul government is unwilling to take action. The second is they don't want to take action. And the third is perhaps they don't have the writ on those areas along the Pak-Afghan border where these militant groups, Fitna al-Khawarij, the ISK and others are operating. So these are different things. We have more than 60,000 those IBOs in different parts of Pakistan, including the tribal areas in Balochistan, and have killed a lot of those people. The kinetic operations are working, but what others have been done? I think the important issue is the issue of governance, the issue of rehabilitation, development of these areas, extending development to the war-hit areas which are under pressure for the last almost 4 or 5 decades. So it has not been done. So this is another area where we are lagging. Another factor, I think, as earlier was mentioned, that the proxy war which the Indians have launched, I would say that the proxy war, there is another proxy war which is being launched by those hostile elements which wanted to contain China. So the contain China policies also have put Pakistan in a very difficult situation, because this border is again being used as a proxy battle zone against Pakistan, now hitting its economy, again its line order, the BRI, the CPAC, all these issues which are like more focused on the development of Pakistan because of Chinese interest. I think the people are there in the form of ISK, which is very much supporting the BLA, BNA, hitting the Chinese targets in Balochistan as well as other parts of the Pakistan. So these are different aspects which is creating a law and order situation, especially in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. And last, I think, yes, the political will by the KP government, I think it is lagging. It is not clear about what it is doing. Now we have three very important people: the chief minister, the governor, and the IG of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police. They belong to one district, Dera Ismail Khan, and I think it is the worst hit region in the last almost 1 year. Then we have North and South Waziristan issues, the Karag, Lucky Marwat, even Tira Valley, which is volatile. Only the region which is left, perhaps Malakan division and Hazara, we are not facing any kind of militant activities there. So we have to be very realistic. We have to change our strategy now. The policy of containing the militants is good, but you have to have a multi-pronged strategy to engage them with kinetic operation. It's okay. You have to use local mayors. You have to take the local tribesmen into confidence while launching these kinetic attacks against those. And the sympathizers, which are on this side of the border, they are everywhere. They are in the cities, they are in the urban areas, they are in the tribal areas. So obviously the unleft agenda of National Action Plan in the form of Operation Azm-e-Istehkam, you have to be very realistic in implementing it, and you have to mean it.
It's very important to be realistic as far as how to handle such operations is concerned. Thank you very much, Zahid Sherazi Sahab, to have joined us, senior analyst joining us, giving us his point of view as far as terrorism in Pakistan is concerned. Thank you very much, sir. Coming back to you, General Sahab. The TTP or the fitna has successfully, as some analysts say, adopted the Afghan Taliban playbook. It has declared that it will target men only who are in uniform and avoid targeting civilians to drive a wedge between the security forces and the citizens. This is also in line with the group leader Mufti Nurwali's old strategy, which he had put in a booklet that he had authored before he became the head of the fitna. Do we need to revisit our counter-terrorism strategy, General Sahab? Should we focus more on the use of technology to track, to monitor, to survey and strike, coupled with political, legal and administrative reforms? And also, I mean, in addition to that, why are security forces the only target or the main target?
Well, Omar, they are to give legitimacy to whatever they are doing. All right. So they are not fighting a war because they are part of this terrorist activities and they are terrorists. So they should, that's why we are saying that they are fitna al-khawarij. So this is a popular, previously they came with an ideology, a shared ideology, all right, where they wanted to change the lifestyle of the people, all right. So they brought their own version of Islam and they tried to fight that war on that. But now they have understood that people in this part of the world, people of Pakistan, especially people in FATA areas, FATA area, so they exactly know that what they are fighting for and why they are fighting for. So that they never had any link with the ideology which they used to propagate, So that's why you have identified very rightly that they want to create a wedge between military forces and the civilians, So this is the purpose of the inimical forces. This is the purpose of the countries, of the powers who really want to implode Pakistan. I am hinting directly at India, So this is the common objective. This is the common objective. The basic structure of peace and war is based only on one thing. That is the collaboration between the people and the armed forces. So once the people are not behind the armed forces, they are unable to, craft the military strategy. They are unable to implement the military strategy. And once the armed forces are not behind the people and the government, they will be unable to carve out the political, they won't be able to carve out the policy for the nation. So this collaboration has to be intact. That's why this is the target.
Alright.
You have spoken about the technologies. Of course, Americans, once they left Afghanistan, they have left more than 3.25 lakh weapon and sophisticated weapons and ammunition with these Taliban. That's with them. They have the super night vision devices with them, So they have a lot of sophisticated weapons. They are available to them, and you have seen their manifestation in part of Kurram and as well, So a lot of sophisticated weapons coming into Pakistan. Of course, with the changing environment, with the passage of time, the technologies are improved. Now these intelligence-based operations, these are to quite some extent, these are dependent on the modern technologies, and of course we have to improve. But unfortunately, the international community, they are not understanding the the Pakistani application, so they are trying to hinder our operations even by carrying out, not supporting us technologically, not owning the war, not owning the disarrayed and disorganized Afghanistan which they have left. So there, the new policy, you are talking about the policy and approach, we need to make the international community understand that, look, this threat in Afghanistan, this will continue with, they will keep threatening the international peace. Already there are proscribed organizations in Afghanistan which are not only threatening Pakistan, they're threatening China, they have application against Russia, against Central Asian. So associations like the military associations or the association like RATS in the SCO, they have to be more effective. Now there have been threat to, what happened in this US. So the guy who was driving that truck who has killed 15 people, he has links with the ISIS, ISIL, and they have the bases, they have the safe havens in Afghanistan. So this threat is, which is emanating from Afghanistan, this will take again the international community and the whole world into the same fire, and again we'll be at ground zero. So we'll need to have a superior diplomatic maneuver, we need to have a superior military strategy, and as Khalid Sahab was saying, as Zahir Shah Sahab was saying, whole of a nation approach. We have to put our own house in order to fight this war. This is not some individual's responsibility, not only the local government, provincial government or federal. This has to be a whole of a nation approach, and nobody should be allowed to put blame on anyone else. But whatever responsibility you have to do, one must take that responsibility.
It should be a collective strategy. I totally get what you are trying to say. Khalid, Taimur, this is the last question as far as this segment is concerned. The DGISPR has a media briefing on the 27th of December last year. He talks about kinetic actions that are the responsibility of the security forces, but he also says terrorism will be eliminated when justice is established in these areas, when there will be education, health, administration and good governance, when there will be a consensus between the education system and madrasas, and when the nexus of terrorism and crime will break. Here also talked about the spectrum of illegal activities. He talked about fake news and propaganda that is also part of this illegal spectrum that kind of adds to the current situation as well. How important are such measures as highlighted by the DGISPR and fighting for illegal spectrum? Do you feel that the government and the forces have tackled the illegal spectrum and the terror crime nexus effectively? If not, what more needs to be done?
Yes, actually what DGISPR had said is not something new. All these points are already included in the National Action Plan since last 10 years. But as I've said before, it is the will of the government. Basically the provincial governments and the federal government, they have to work together. Whether it is education or health or anything else. The relationship between a state and its subjects is basically those measures which the state takes for the welfare of the people. So if we control our corruption, if we control the governance system, only then these things can move forward. I totally agree what DGISPR had said, that it is not that we have to root out the terrorism for a few days. This has to be finished for times to come. We need to change our curriculum. We need to sit down with our religious elite and the madrasa people to set their curriculum. We need to revise even the curriculums which we are teaching in our universities. We have to have a very detailed de-radicalization in our society, because over the last couple of decades we have seen society being polarized initially by the religious things, and now since last couple of years we have seen extensive political radicalization in the young generation. Yes, the fake news and social media is playing a very big role, and as the army chief and the prime minister had been repeatedly saying that this digital terrorism and this digital invasion has no boundaries. So we have to set our own boundaries. Look at China, look at even the countries, the European countries, they have set their digital boundaries. So once, if we are ready to set our digital boundaries, then we must educate our people that what are the digital boundaries, because our young generation is being radicalized ethnically, it is being radicalized politically, it is being radicalized religiously through the social media. And unless we will not have these digital boundaries, this thing will continue. So I totally agree what DG ISPR has said, but I will say only one thing, that all these things are not new. Everything is available in the National Action Plan. The only thing which needs to be done in 2025 is that the provincial governments and the federal government and all the institutions should sit together and we must make out a relevant plan and roll it out, and the plan should not be very extensive. It should be, we should be doing these things in next 6 months to 1 year.
All right. Thank you very much for this input as far as the terrorism in Pakistan, what needs to be done is concerned. This ends our first segment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Major General Zahid Mahmood Sahab, to have joined us. Khalid Taimur Sahab continues with the second segment as well. Let's come to our second story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the situation as far as the Middle East is concerned, especially with reference to Palestine. Now, if you see what is happening, whether it be the children dying of cold, whether it be the situation of famine in certain areas of Palestine, whether it be the hospitals that are almost completely destroyed, whether it be the education institutions that are destroyed, whether it be the people that are living in makeshift tents, and even those makeshift tents are being targeted by the Israeli military, whether it be the lack of any kind of will from the Israeli forces or the Israeli government to mitigate some kind of a ceasefire with the Palestinians and to move forward in the right direction. All is pointing towards the fact that Israel is hell-bent on continuing with the barbarities that they were perpetrating since the 7th of October 2023, and they continue in 2025. Khalid Taimur, Akram Sahab, International Affairs expert, continues to join us for this segment as well. Khalid Sahab, Israeli army has very recently bombed Al-Mawasi, which is a humanitarian zone. Humanitarian zone means that you cannot go there, you cannot infiltrate those areas, and you cannot target those areas. 28 Palestinians have been killed on New Year's Day, and now also not only Al-Mawasi but Dar al-Bala, where dozens of civilians have been killed and many have been injured as well. And then there's a Shati refugee camp, and there's a Jabalia refugee camp, and I mean I can go on. There's a whole list of what has happened, and the 45,000 plus casualties who have perished, and the 10,000 who are still in trouble, and some reports even talk about more than 100,000. Anyways, that we'll know if and when the war ends. But will these atrocities end? Will this war end this year? What are you looking at?
Yes, as we have been discussing about it before also, and we felt that the US elections, after the US elections, there will be a stalemate in this thing. But we have seen that even after the US elections, the pace of the attacks is growing very fast. It is because that Donald Trump, after his success, has been giving out lots of policies, but surprisingly, on the Palestinian issue, on the Gaza issue, and on the Israel issue, we see a quietness from his side. It means that basically we have to see that from where Israel is getting its strength. Israel is getting its basic strength from the quietness of the US administration, whether it is the Biden administration, whether it is the incoming administration of Donald Trump. Both are quiet about it. Yes, Donald Trump had been speaking on various occasions, and a few of his aides have been speaking on various occasions that they are very close in bringing a peace deal for Israel and Palestine.
But at what cost? A peace deal at what cost?
Yeah, but it's all lip service. As I'm saying, it's all lip service. And it seems that United States is intentionally giving Israel this much of space. We have seen that after the fall of Syria, Israel had moved their forces to the Golan Heights also. So now Israel is basically expanding in that area. Israel is consolidating in that area. We have seen the Biden administration in its last days releasing lots of ammunition and aid for Ukraine and Israel. I was just reading today that the Biden administration in last 2 weeks in last 2-3 weeks have been giving lots of money and lots of military aid to Israel. This all thing shows that at the back of Israel is the United States tacit approval of all these things, and somehow the United Nations has been unable to play any kind of role. because as you said, even on the New Year's Eve, you talked about the humanitarian camps. But there is no restriction by from the Israeli side. They are targeting humanitarian areas, they are targeting hospitals, they are targeting children, they are targeting women. And as far as Israel is concerned, for them the complete area is open for targeting. And I would say that it's criminal on the part of the United Nations also, because United Nations Security Council is absolutely quiet. I do not know that why are they waiting and waiting and waiting. The US elections finished in November, and since November till today, almost 2 months are going to pass in next few days, and we have seen nothing, no movement from the US side.
All right. Israeli Defense Minister Katz warns Hamas, and I am quoting him, if it does not stop attacks on his country, does not release the captives held in Gaza, the group will receive blows with a force not seen in a long time. This adds to the previous comments that Netanyahu also made, which were in a similar vein. What I fail to understand is how much force that is yet to be seen as far as the genocide, the crimes against humanity that Israel has been perpetrating. What more can the Palestinians endure? I mean, how much more can you go as far as what they have already done?
Actually, what I see from their statements is that if you see in last couple of months, the top leadership of Hamas, top leadership of Palestine, the resistance movement has been eliminated. Now the things are being run by the second tier and third tier of the leadership. What we are seeing right now is that Israel has started targeting the second and third tier of leadership. I think what they plan is that they want to eliminate complete resistance movement. And this is what they have been doing. If you see the list of the people who are being eliminated in last couple of months, they are doing it very, very systematically. But I think the resistance movement is far more bigger than the Israelis what they had thought, because initially that they thought that people like Hania and the other leadership, once they will be martyred, then Israelis must have thought that the resistance will be over. But they do not know this thing, that in Palestine every child, every girl, every boy is a leader in itself now, because of the genocide effect, because of so many killings. Now every Palestinian is a symbol of resistance, every child is a symbol of resistance, every woman is a symbol of resistance. So even if they wipe out the second or third tier, this resistance movement is not going to end. So now this is the time that the international community should wake up. Although many countries in Europe have recognized Palestine, but we have seen that after recognition they have not been able to play a positive role. So if Israel is thinking this way, that they can wipe out all the leadership and then they will do a settlement or a peace agreement with Palestinians, they are mistaken, because right now every individual, every person living in Palestine is a movement in itself. So I think now the international community should put pressure on America. The pressure has to be put on US, not on Israel, because everything has been done with the tacit approval of the present government and the new government which is about to come. We hope that Donald Trump, after he takes over, would come up with a solution, but then it's going to be very, very late, because the more genocide will happen in that area, the Palestinians will become more resistant. The Palestinian would they will not agree to any kind of solution, because if somebody has lost its complete family, why would he or she would agree on any solution?
True, I agree with you on that. Before we come back on Palestine, I'd like to ask you about Lebanon as well as Syria. You did allude to Syria. As far as Syria is concerned, Israel, as you have also talked about, has seized more territory in the Golan Heights. This also ends or tears apart a 50-year-old agreement that was made. Then Israeli far-right ministers say that their country's border should extend further to Damascus, which I feel is a very important quote under the current circumstances. Firstly, what are Israel's plans as far as Syria is concerned? And then coming to Lebanon, Israeli forces have set fire to several homes in different towns in Lebanon, and the daily attacks on Lebanon are going on despite a ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah. What happens as far as Lebanon is also concerned? So I group these two questions to ask you a combined answer.
Yes, this is very interesting because there is, a war happening in Palestine and Israel and that part in the Middle East. There is another social media propaganda war happening. So if you look at the social media war which is happening, and of course the social media input is being provided by Western news agencies and people sitting in Europe or in West feeding the data in it, they are already showing a map of greater Israel, including Syria, including Damascus, till Damascus. This map and this debate is already there on social media since last couple of months. The fall of Hafiz al-Assad, it has happened due to various reasons, because Hafiz al-Assad was supported by Russia. Bashar al-Assad. He was being supported by the Russians, but the Russians were busy with Ukraine, so the fall of Syria had happened. But who has come to power in Syria? Those people have come to power in Syria who were already put on the terrorist list by United States and by United Nations. Today, it is very surprising that United States and United Nations both are ready to talk with them. So this exposes the dual intentions by United States and even by the United Nations, that one day you declare somebody as terrorist and now you are sitting with them and you are ready to negotiate with them. So are those terrorists were sponsored by somebody that now you are ready to negotiate with them? So why the new regime has allowed Israel to occupy their territory? We have not seen any kind of statement by the new regime against Israel. We have not seen any kind of condemnation. We have not seen those, because the new regime, it is already armed. They have taken over Syria. Why they haven't gone against Israel over there? So similarly, the things are happening in Lebanon. We have seen extensive bombardment by the Israeli aircrafts. Almost every day they are going there and bombarding various places, various hideouts of terrorists. So I think what they are planning is to have a new map of Middle East in times to come. Now all eyes are on Donald Trump, because as we know that Donald Trump is a businessman. His new cabinet is consists of mostly business people. During his last tenure, he did not started any war. So what is going to be the end of it? Will Donald Trump tell the world that accept the new reality and have a greater Israel? Will he be able to put pressure on Israel? Yes, he can put pressure on Israel, because his son-in-law and his daughter-in-law are already very close to Israel. They are from Jewish families and very wealthy Jewish families, Jewish American families. They can put pressure on Israel. But this is yet to be seen once Donald Trump will take oath.
All right, so the next few weeks are going to be important as far as decision making, or the what kind of avenues Donald Trump and his government wants to take as far as the Middle East is concerned. Last question to you. Two recently retired senior Israeli intelligence officers have shared new details about this clandestine operation. You remember regarding the handsets that exploded in the Hezbollah militants' hands in Lebanon, in Syria, but it was not just the Hezbollah's people who were killed, but there were huge casualties as far as that is concerned, the walkie-talkies and the other such pages. Yes. You talked about greater Israel, and they say that this is a plan that has been in the making for many, many years. So is the plan for greater Israel, what we are seeing right now in Syria, in Lebanon, we are seeing the Houthis and in Yemen that are also now being targeted, plus what is happening in Palestine, and the Israeli settlers occupying more and more land with the help of the Israeli military. Is this the greater game of Israel, and will they succeed?
Yes, first of all, I must condemn those commercial organizations which had helped Israel in arming those pagers and those walkie-talkies, because I'm sure that those walkie-talkies and those pagers are not made in any military establishment, any defense industry. They are purely commercial items. So it means that those commercial organizations, whether they are in Europe or in America, they had helped Israel in not only arming those with explosives, but also marketing them. So I think it is against the ethics of any commercial organization. Yes, about a greater Israeli plan, the talks have been going on social media for number of years, but now it seems that the plan is going to be in action. But as I said, that making greater Israel is not very easy, because the Middle East countries, the Arab countries, and all the Muslim countries have their stakes in Middle East. They may not allow for a greater Israel. America have to negotiate not only with the Middle East people, but also America has to negotiate with the Arab world and with the rest of the world.
We'll end it at that. Thank you very much, Khalid Taimur Akram Saab, international affairs expert, who have joined us for both the segments, and of course given your valued opinion as far as what is going on and what has happened and where things are moving towards. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's show. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with story segments that pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.